This is The Gorge. It is a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves in overanalyzing a topic. And Sarah, what are we talking about this week?
Well, this week, on a very special episode of The Gorge, we're going back in time to talk about Alien Omen for the PlayStation 2, the Zeebo, the ColecoVision, and the Nintendo Switch, actually. It's actually getting a Switch port in like 6 months.
Yeah.
I saw that on Twitter today, so that's exciting.
That's really exciting because this is one of those games that like no one talks about ever.
Yeah, I know, and it's absurd because it's very like I don't want to say genre defining because obviously it doesn't seem like a lot of people crib from this very often, but it's an example of doing many things right. You know what I mean?
It's one of those games where like you play it and you're like, why is all of this not the standard of the genre?
Yeah, absolutely. Like timed hits and stuff from in other JRPGs. And you're like, why didn't JRPGs implement that as the standard? There's all kinds of stuff like that in Alien Omen that just didn't really catch on. I don't understand why,
And it's one of those things that I mean, you and I have talked about this game a lot.
Yeah, in private all the time. It's
absurd. Off mic, but it's one of those things where we're always just like, I don't know, you don't want to bring it up because, it's tough to fully encapsulate it, when we're trying to reference it, because of just what it does.
Yeah, and it's also got the problem of being, like you said, really obscure. So, when I reference it to other people, I just get a lot of blank stares. I'm like, Alien Vision, or Alien Omen, the visionary game, Swedish game, I know the Swedes don't make a lot of video games, but they made Wolfenstein, so clearly there's at least a couple companies that know what they're doing. And it's a PS2 title, you'd think more people would know about it, but no, it doesn't even have any, it's not even on the PC, it's crazy.
Yeah, and tracking down, it's also hard to recommend because, tracking down copies, you have to import it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a game that had a release window of 3 days, and then it was off shelves.
That's a problem. Yeah, because it was it didn't sell great, and then I guess the publisher just decided to recall all the other, E.T., but unlike E.T., it wasn't a disaster. I guess it was a financial disaster for the company. They no longer exist, unfortunately. It's developed by a company called Antenna Tech, and they just don't exist anymore. I don't even think you can find them on Wikipedia. It was their only game, and then as soon as it flopped, it was just gone, And
it's such a shame because, it was so ahead of its time. Yeah. With everything it does. Yeah. It's
I know.
You compare this to the other games that even kind of come close to it, nowadays, it's this could have stood right alongside its contemporaries, like Persona 5 or Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, of course.
All of these games, it just I don't want to say that they're ripping it off, but certain things kind of feel like
if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, call it a duck.
It's just for one thing, I would never expect you could fit all of this on a PS2 disc.
Oh, I know, right?
I mean, this game is huge. It does so much.
Well, I guess it is the look of the game is very unique, and that lends itself really well to being able to cram a lot of information onto the disc, because it is kind of a more minimalist approach. So maybe it's textures didn't they didn't take up as much space as they would in other games, so you could fit so much video game onto a PS2 disc. I don't know. There's definitely feels like some black magic crammed into Alien Omen to really make it shine. It's such a unique look too. We were talking about Dusk yesterday, and it's amazing level design, but the look of Alien Omen is bizarre and very feels like it comes from like a singular mind that had a very straightforward vision of what a game should look like.
Yeah, like this it's got sort of, I don't want to say like simplistic or basic, but it's got
minimalist.
Minimalist is a really good description, is a really good word for it. Mm-hmm. Like everything kind of looks very like it catches your attention is what it does. Because there's no way you're ever going to get lost in the scenery, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing. There's you always kind of, everything is so distinctive that it makes me think, when I was playing Nier Automata, I was thinking of Alien Omen a lot, because, you know, I got so comfortable with the world of Nier, I never really got lost, and that's how I felt with Alien Omen, is that same kind of sense of just like, you know it like the back of your hand, and you're very familiar with it, and you could navigate the world blindfolded after a certain point. And the aesthetics of the game are a huge contributor to that. They're very unique and very special, and you know, I've never really seen anything else. I feel like other games kind of tried to replicate that look. You know, what comes to mind? I said Nier, but Nier is obviously much higher fidelity. You know, like Halo kind of tried to get that look, but it couldn't really capture it either.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit Halo, especially some of the later stages you can kind of like, if you didn't know any better, you could kind of like look at screenshots of both of them and like kind of think one is from Halo, you know?
Yeah, but Halo's, you know, the library is it's so dull, and there isn't a single level in Alien Omen that has that sense of like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm just going through like bland rooms, you know? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny you mentioned Nier as something that's similar, and then you mentioned blindfolds because, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Right.
I'm pretty sure that's just a coincidence, but when I saw that in Nier, I was just like, are you... Yoko Taro, did you play Alien Omen?
I feel like, you know, it's a bizarre enough game that Yoko Taro has probably played it and internalized a lot of its concepts, you know? I don't want to say that he like lifted anything from it, but there might be a bit of an homage.
Yeah, there's a difference between being inspired by something and ripping it off.
Right, yeah, I would never say that it's ripping this game off.
Right,
course.
And I mean, like, if there was a game that tried to rip off Alien Omen, like, we'd tell right away. I mean...
and nothing's really been able... I guess, you know, it's hard to replicate some of the best.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But, you know, it is a unique... blending of games, you know, there's a lot of, and again, that's another kind of, I feel like I'm be referencing Nier a lot. Maybe it's just because I like those kind of games, but this is still very different too, because it's the concept of lots of different systems all working together, and some of them work way better than others. I think the simulation aspects are, they've aged poorly, you know.
That's kind of the funny thing about like some of these like things is that like every so often when you play like PS2 games and stuff, and you get like, oh, this is this segment of the game, or this is this, you know, they try to like make multiple things, like a platform might have a rail shooter section or something like that.
Yeah.
But Alien Omen does such a good job of blending them that you don't even really notice that your control scheme has even changed until it's already happened, you know?
Yeah, you're halfway through like a first-person shooter sequence, and you're just like, oh, I slid right into this easily. And then the next thing you know, you're, you know, doing town simulation stuff. You're wrangling cows and collecting ores and and it all kind of flows together very seamlessly, and you almost don't even notice it. It's very strange.
And you're right. The sim parts of it especially are kind of bare bones, and
I think it's just because they were working on a PS2, and I mean, what can you menu management on a console is never going to be as in-depth as on the PC, so of course they had to keep it a little rudimentary. And that's fine.
And I know you can technically plug a mouse in, but it's not like an easy thing to do, especially because it can't be a wireless mouse, obviously, and it's kind of hard to sit in front of the TV with a mouse like that. But
a giant TV,
yeah. I mean, I guess back in the day it would have been a little bit easier since you didn't have huge flat screens, but.
Right. Yeah.
Still,
and I mean, you manage, like, you can, the systems, the menus and systems, they're easy to navigate. It's just that I feel they could have been afforded more complexity if it had been made for the PC. But the PS2 was the best-selling system in the world at the time, and it still is. So it makes sense to want to make your new game for the PS2 to try and reach as many people as possible, and hope you're making, the next Jack and Daxter or what have you, Now I am excited though, because if the Switch port does actually end up happening, you're gonna be able to probably use the Joy-Cons to get those menus pretty quick, right? I wonder if they're gonna update anything, like.
Well, I mean,
does it really need an update?
It doesn't, but like, I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but I watched that teaser. Mm-hmm. And, I saw like a robot that I don't remember from the from the original game.
Oh, it was a secret character. Did you never figure it out?
Was that... Wait, okay, so...
Yeah.
I only got 14 of the gears. Is that what that unlocks?
Yeah, no, once you get the 17th gear, you go back to the mansion, and there's, like an old broken doll-looking thing, and then, what's her face? It's been so long. Harley, she actually fixes the doll, except she over-fixes the doll, and it turns it into, like, a little robot, and that's the secret character. It's a big process. It's, like, a huge nightmare. And the character is not, like, they're not really, obviously they're not plot important, because they're just an optional character, and they're really not even that useful, like, in combat. It's, they're charming, of course. Their design is very interesting. But
yeah, I was like, I'm excited for a new character.
Yeah, maybe they'll make it now that, like, people actually know about the because there's no guides made for this game. Is the problem,
right?
There's just like little, like, sporadic internet forum posts, 10-year-old GameFAQs posts that you have to go off of, and it's hard to find any information about it. There's a lot of secrets in this game. I mean, I feel like there's a ton of secrets in this game that even I haven't seen. I've played it, like, a lot.
Well, that's, like, the cool thing about this is kind of, like, because no one knows about it, there's still stuff, like, I probably played this game 5-6 times, and I'm like, every playthrough I'm finding, like, I didn't know you could go back to the bar.
Oh, yeah! Yeah, you can go back to the bar. Not a lot happens, but if you go at, like, a certain time of day, you get an optional scene between, like, Jakob and the bouncer who guards the door. It's really interesting. It's just like a little, like, character thing, but yeah, it's really cool. You've probably seen it.
That's so cool. Like, the day-night cycle in this game is one of those things where I'm kind of like, I kind of love it, but I'm also like, are you serious? Because
it's very tedious. Yeah.
Well, you get to the things where it's like, okay, I need to go back. I need to go back across the bridge. Mm-hmm. But the only time you get this cutscene is if it's in the evening before the sun sets.
Yes.
So if you miss the opportunity, you have to go back all the way across the bridge, and then you have to do that entire sequence all over again and hope your timing is just right, or else you miss off on Jakob's best weapon.
I know. And it makes me think of, like, Radiata Stories, which was another PS2 RPG, had had a schedule system the way characters do in Alien Omen, but they're not nearly as in-depth as like what's going on in this game. You know, everybody has like a set number of like stops in their day, and you know, it's very unique and very innovative, but it does make trying to get things done kind of a headache sometimes.
It's like you're playing 3 different Majora's Masks at the same time with the same controller.
with one arm tied behind your back. Yeah. It's horrible.
It's like, okay, all right, well, you know what? I really need to go talk to this guy, but Estelle's dragging me to go over here, and I don't want to get her relationship points down any further, or else I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah, but it's like, you could almost say like you don't need the relationship point system, but you really do, because I don't know, it has such a depth to it that like in Persona you have like you can in Persona 3 you can reverse Arcana and stuff like that. But in this, it's very nuanced. It changes depending on how you interact with other characters. There's, it feels like a less obnoxious version of the relationship systems in the Dragon Age games, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where like, yeah, they don't really affect stats, like, not that much. Like, okay, sometimes your party members might hesitate to heal you, but it's like once every 15 times.
Yeah. But that adds such a neat depth to it, too, because it makes every game so different.
Right. And like, but mostly, like, the one thing that I'm most appealed by is just, like, the different combat dialogue you get, depending on relationships.
God, that's what blows my mind. I guess, I feel like they almost had to go with this more, like artsy minimalist style to allow for so much variety in character relationships. There's so many different like branching paths that you unlock just depending on when you do things and how you respond to them. It's genius. Oh my god.
It's like not only that, so like they not only found a way to cram all this into one disc, they also found a way to take the things they would have had to sacrifice, like texture space or character model, poly count, and they work that into their advantage in such a way that's like, I don't know, like, I don't know how, like, what were the meetings like where they're like, all right, well, what if we do this instead? What if we reduce this and we can replace it with this instead? And it's like, you're seeing all these things that would, like, another game would be like patchwork,
Yeah.
Like sacrifice, but they work it into their advantage. So, like, everything they had to get rid of turns out to be for their benefit,
Yeah, it's people working within a system that they just really understand and have a really great grasp of how to work within their limitations and make something really unique and beautiful. There's just so many. I can't even imagine, like, the only thing I want for the Switch update really is like a better resolution, that's it.
I think that, and maybe clean up some of the music a little bit.
The music is a little tinny. I understand. Yeah.
It's got that, and like some of the overworld stuff and like some of the roadmap stuff is like a little bit scratchy.
Yeah.
And
I would really like the overworld theme. The loop is really short.
It kind of like the loop is so weird because, like, I don't know if you notice it, but every time I play this game, I always have to rush from city to dome because I'm like, if I have to hear the hiccup when the loop starts over again, I'm gonna go mad.
I don't know, in a game that has so much polish, how did that get missed?
It's just the slightest little beat, and like it's enough. the song flow, and if you listen to the song on the OST, like, it loops perfectly in the OST, but, like,
I don't know what happened.
It's just so weird, because, like, I'm like, oh god, it's coming, it's like, and I'm like, oh!
You have to, like, brace yourself for it. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Maybe it's just, like, over-familiarity with this game that, like, has bred contempt, as you say. But god, it's bad. I mean, like, the music itself is really good, but they had to compress it in such a way to get it on the disc that it definitely sounds like a little rough.
And, like, if they can just get the version that came out on the OST into the game, then it's like that's all you really need. Just get all that.
Yeah, the OST versions of these tracks are just like, oh my god, like the song of the end, the one that plays like during the final boss.
Oh my god.
I know.
When the guitar picks up and it's like
chills every time without fail. You can just like feel it run down your spine. You're like, oh my god. You get that same feeling, and the way the final boss battle works is just like, you know, it's not the music. Obviously, the music of the fight cannot sync up to each other. But because there's like rising and falling in that track, you kind of naturally will have moments where what you're doing on screen will just match what's going on in the fight, and then suddenly you have like this great moment of synergy, and it's just like, I made that happen, you know.
And it is kind of funny because like when like that crescendo, like the rising and falling, like it's kind of weird. We were just talking about it, but like I don't think it would have worked as well if we did have the navigation of menus for the sim section that you would have gotten like in the boss battle, you know? Like if we could get there faster, we would have like missed out on some of those like really rising moments in the song. So
yeah, that's true. That is really true. It's every time I think of like a way to like fix this game, something else comes up and is like, no, you can't fix this game, man. Like
it's like, it
all clicks together. It's all in harmony.
If you speed that up, then like you're gonna miss out on this part, you know?
Yeah.
It's so it's like its faults are necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so but like I've never seen like all of these like faults are so minor, and I think it's just because we've familiarized ourselves with this game so much. They're almost like endearing in a way.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of just like played it too many times bias. Is there a word for that?
Like over familiarity.
Yeah, like bias towards it because we're so familiar with it. It's definitely just like the roughness around the edges is what gives it its charm. And if you took away things like the weird, like the animations are a little strange, but they have so much personality too. If
you know, they've got that like kind of like early PS1 kind of like weird blocky like everyone's waving their arms a whole lot.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have Charles's like fist pump animation, I wouldn't even want to play the game anymore.
Oh, I know, because like he always does it. It's so funny because you'll just be like having a normal conversation, and then sometimes you'll just see Charles in the background. Yes, and you're just like, you idiot. And if it was more subtle, you wouldn't notice it. And it's really funny because it's just like the comedic timing. It's incredible.
I think the best use of it in like it at first it ruined the cutscene for me, but like now it's my favorite part is when he does it at the funeral.
Oh my god, yes.
It's like this is supposed to be like the most serious moment in the game.
Right.
And like I was crying the first time, of course, obviously.
Of course. Yeah,
but
I mean, you have to be dead inside if you didn't cry at that part. Come on.
But you know, they start you know finding their resolve again, and they're about to go out, and then there's Charles in the back, and it's
doing his dumb fist pump, and you're like, oh my god, it's like everything's gonna be okay, you know? If Charles can still do his stupid fist pump, we can get through this horrible thing, and we can move on to better things, to destroy that which sleeps in the center of it all. And really, you know, it's like, God, it's so beautiful. it's like what they're up against is so encompassing. It's really just this crushing emptiness. It's almost like a metaphysical thing. I know it's like a real, also it's also like a real thing, but it is very metaphysical. It's very metaphorical, I guess is the word, of just like that deep, you know how I get when we talk about video games. I get way too into like the symbolisms, and I get too emotionally invested.
I mean, they do such a good job with the dialogue and with the voice acting, especially, where it's like when these characters, you know, you and I have talked about this forever. It's like when these characters talk about that which sleeps below, and it's like they're talking about it as if it's been a part of their lives, like a part of their like sense of self almost, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God. It really has just like infected the world they live in, and you can just feel the impact it has on everybody, and the way it kind of like hangs on, like weighs really heavily on like Mimette. Like you can just feel it in her soul, and all of her dialogue is so sad.
Oh my! Like when she's talking about it like it's like if you were to remove the name of the thing, it sounds like she's talking about a mental illness, you know?
Oh my God, yeah. It feels very like revolutionary for its time.
Like very personal, very direct. I mean, you're dealing with these things on like a galactic scale, you know?
Right.
But they found a way to make that like overlooming threat like feel very personal for everyone.
Yeah, and no character feels like unnecessary. Like there's like an optional character, but even that optional character has just like, you know, you learn a little bit of something about Harley in the process of repairing. You've got to go back and play it again. I got to show you where those last gears are, so that you can, because and I don't want to spoil it for you, obviously, because
right, of course.
You just get to that little extra bit about Harley and about like her relationship with like her brother, and just, you know, that kind of sadness. That it's a very sad game. But it's also like, it's sad, or maybe the term is nostalgic. I don't know.
Like melancholy, like longing almost, you know?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Like it's not so much like heartbreaking, but just like the joy you want is like it's within sight, but you can't quite reach it yet, you know?
Right, yeah. But you can't do it, you know, it's, you know, you make fun of me because I don't really like power of friendship stories. But this is one of those games that does it really well because it feels so earned, you know? You can't fight that which sleeps below on your own. It's like impossible. And, you know, Cairo, he tries to do it by himself, and it nearly kills him, you know? And it's such a moment. You realize, like, watching him just, like, really suffer. It's like, oh, you can't do it by yourself.
Like literally, like, when you are up against him yourself.
Oh my God,
and,
yeah.
Like, you're, you know, okay, so what I did for one playthrough is I wanted to test it. Okay. I wanted to just see, like, what would happen, because I know how much health the final boss has, you know?
Oh my God.
I sat down and I grinded for hours. I harvested every enemy, like, twice over.
Oh my God.
I got capture plus, and I grabbed every single item I could to forge the best gear I could for just Pro Tag Man.
Yeah.
And I got 99 items for, like, everything maxed out, and I sat there for like 3 hours.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, eventually I got into like a pretty good rhythm.
Yeah.
Of like attacking, dodging, and then healing up. And eventually I like mentally reached the point where I'm like, he should be dead by now. Right. And I'm like, oh, you literally can't. You just can't.
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. It's impossible.
You can't, like, they programmed it so that if you go into it with just one party member, like, you cannot win that battle.
Yeah, it's impossible, even though, you know, like, you should be able to do enough damage. And, like, yeah, that can be, like, cheap for some people, and I'm sure there's some way to do it. Like, maybe in, like, a New Game Plus or something, but I've never tried. Because, like, it would just defeat the point, you know? There's that incredible, like, there's that emotional catharsis you get at the very end, where, like, the hero and Mehmet, they're holding hands, and you know, like, the music is really building up, and God, it's just so beautiful. You know, she tells him just that it's all gonna be okay, and you can be exactly what you need to be, and oh my God. Yeah, I cried. You know I cried. Of course I cried.
Of course you did.
I always cry.
It's so... You know, it's one of those... This is one of those games where, like... Especially after the Dune City incident...
Oh my God.
And you get that shot in the epilogue of them raising the statue again. And it's like...
My heart!
Of course!
Of course they would go back and do that. You know, they and it's great because, like, they don't make a big, you know, a lot of other games would maybe place too much emphasis on the statue and they'd bring it up, but there's that one scene where after the incident, you know, it's there and it's broken and everybody is, you know, there's this just shot of the whole team just looking out at the city, and it pans just a little bit longer on that. And it just holds there long enough. You can really feel, like, the desolation,
and it's one of those things where, like, yeah, like you said, they don't make a big deal of it, but, like, it's the first thing you see when you get into Dune City.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's the last thing you see when you leave and you are not allowed to go back to that area.
Yeah, and you really hold on to it.
It's just, like, this perfect, like, framed shot, you know?
Yeah. And it's such a representation, too, of just, like, how broken everybody's hearts are. And then at the end, you know, you get... And it's so corny, but whatever. I love it. I don't care. It's so beautiful, too, of just, like, you know, going home and lifting the statue is, like, proof that, hey, everything's okay, and it's been, like, fixed to be even better than ever, but you can still see the cracks to know, like, yeah, you know, like, it's, you know, you fought and you won and everything, you've been fixed, and you're still a little bit, like, messed up inside from it, but you're gonna be okay. It's incredible. It's all metaphorical, man. It's all metaphorical. It's a story about, like, you know, spacefaring adventure and you know, elder things sleeping at the end of the universe and, like, all this, you know, these big concepts and political intrigue and blah blah blah. But, like, you know, at the end of the day, it is a more personal story about people kind of at war with themselves, you know, and trying to find somebody else that they can really relate to and latch on to and feel that closeness to. And, you know, all of these people that which sleeps below is just kind of representative of, like, what's sleeping in them and keeping them, you know, forcing them to stay distant from others. And so by the end of the game, you just really feel like this group of people has just bonded. They feel like such a family, you know?
Oh my God, right?
I know. God, it's beautiful.
Like, especially Denzel.
Oh my God. Yeah, the transformation he makes, because he's insufferable when you first meet him. Right?
Remember the first time you were going, like, I don't know, this is like, I feel like this is like a universal thing for anyone who plays, is the first, like, second one that you see Denzel and you're like, oh God.
He's one of those. Oh no, here we go. And yeah, as soon as he opens his mouth, he's just like that rude, like, womanizing prick character. You know, it's like Zelos, but so much worse. So much worse. And you're rolling your eyes, you're wishing you were dead, and you're like, I gotta deal with, like, this kind of pervert character.
You can't drop him that first, like, that whole first segment. It's just like, it's like they knew. It's like they knew. Like, it's like they're like, squat up, and you're like, all right, you're out. What? Are you for real? Are you for real? He's mandatory right now.
He's mandatory right now. You are going to learn to love this character. Damn it!
And his tactics suck.
Oh, his tactics are... But then, like, man, if you just stay patient, you know how it is. If you stay patient, he is vital in endgame.
Once you get his grid set up, it's just like, okay, I get it
now.
Okay.
He's a setup character.
Right.
You know, he's like a character that he does things that, and how great is that? He's the character who's like the most emotionally detached, but the only way for him to like really be effective is to work with somebody else. Like, how awesome is that? Come on.
So cool. It's
theming
cool.
in your game mechanics. It's themes. It's incredible. Yeah, it's you know, and so like once you've got like, you know, all of his grid set up and, you know, you're chaining attacks together left and right, you know, he has the most amount of like combo extending skills, so you can just keep the chain rolling as long as Denzel has a charge, you can just keep that chain rolling. Holy shit.
Did you ever get a sequence where you manage to get a chain against enemies that are resistant to your element at the time? Mm-hmm. And you just get them in a lock. And
oh my god! Yeah, and you're just bouncing constantly, and you're hitting him. And because, like, you know, Denzel, if you get enough consecutive hits, his energy recharges, and so like you can just kind of get them in this stun lock state and just watch attacks just keep bouncing off of them. Watching
giant praying mantises just like bounce off of the party's shield, and you see their dumbass flailing animation just get stuck in a loop.
Their heads just bobbling like uncontrollably. So funny. So funny. I've got to find a gif of it to post on Twitter. Oh my god.
And there's just seeing that and then hearing Jakob's like, I'm gonna get him loop just constantly because you're critting constantly. And it's just
I'm gonna get, but like the crits aren't doing a lot of damage. So they're just stuck in this loop.
It's the best.
I'm gonna get him.
It's the funniest thing in the world.
Oh my god. No, it's game is amazing. Man, it's just like and all the mini games usually either you get really bizarre mini games like FF7's like snowboarding mini game right after Aeris has died.
Right.
But all of these mini games are just like perfectly placed and they're all addicting.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, I talk about this with Kingdom Hearts a lot, where it's like, you could turn a lot of these mini games into full-fledged games.
Oh, I know.
Like, Alien Omen is like the progenitor of that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the rhythm game in the bar in Dabia, there that music game you can play like it's like a dancing game. Oh my god, so addicting.
Like, I was never good at that one.
Oh, really?
I think because the way they use the shoulder buttons, like, I could never get that, because I'm pretty good at, like, DDR and Guitar Hero. I'm not, like, an expert at it, but I'm pretty good at that. But, like, I think just the way they have to, like, they use the shoulder buttons to, like, hold and release, I could never quite get that down, but the music, those tracks are so good.
Those tracks, though, they're so good. See, I had the benefit, I played a lot of Amplitude for the PS2. It's like a rhythm game. It's by the people who made Rock Band, actually. And you use the shoulder buttons to play it. And I had played so much Amplitude by the time I got my hands on a copy of Alien Omen that, like, I can just, like, enter a fugue state. I just like lay back. It's kind of like when I play poker in some like JRPGs. I just lay back and just zone out, and you can get so much money off of those, like all the multipliers and stuff you can get, like with consecutive successful performances. You can get so much. It's a little broken. I got a feeling they'll probably like tweak that for the Switch version.
I hope not, because
I hope not, because it rewards you for being really good, you know?
And I bet I could do better now on a Switch controller.
Yeah, that's true.
Than the PS2 one. I feel like I don't know, like I can't get my fingers to move the way they want me to, but I think maybe if like the controller's like a little different, I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, it is an awkward control scheme for sure, but it came kind of pretty naturally to me. And I mean, it helps, like you said, that the music in those sequences is just like,
they're bangers. They're
bangers. They're fire. This track is fire, yo. It's real good. And then like there's other mini games that like I'm personally, there's the cooking mini game. You've heard me complain about the cooking.
And like I get it. I totally understand. They are asking a lot of you.
It's very overwhelming, and I'm stupid. And I get very easily overwhelmed by a lot of choice.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's so different from like other cooking things at the time,
Yeah.
Like usually cooking is like, oh, you find the ingredients and you press the button and it cooks for you, or like maybe you have to like tap the button to keep the rhythm going. But like,
right.
The cooking segments in this are asking for so much. Like,
you could make a whole game, like you said. You could build a whole game around Alien Omen's
like precise
cooking sequences.
It's not just like the cooking part; it's also like keeping track of like the waitstaff at the restaurant.
Oh my god! No, it's such a
weird
nightmare. I don't know how you do it.
I
don't know how you do it, man.
The way I did it was pausing like every 2 seconds.
Oh, you cheesed it!
And I mean like, it feels like that's the only way you can do it, because you have to be like, I was like physically handwriting notes. like
I guess I could have done that, yeah.
Checking the kitchen and then checking the restaurant and being like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And like the reward is not worth it. But
what is the reward? What is the reward again? I've never actually beaten it.
You get like some tier plus gear.
Oh.
But like it would be good, but you can't do the full restaurant sequence until the rescue. So,
and by then that stuff's already just...
By then you're finding it in chests, and like you're finding it in the base,
Yeah. I wish you could get the the house in Synchronia. The house in Synchronia. I wish you could get that earlier. I wish there was some way to get it earlier, because it'd be a great place to store all the crap you get in this game.
It's so centralized, like, to everything else.
I know, but you can't get it until endgame.
I mean, you can get the apartment, but the
apartment doesn't hold as much, and it's not as nice. I mean,
it's not like located in as convenient of a spot,
Yeah, you have to go through like a couple more load screens to get to the apartment, and like, I like a lot of the character interactions in the apartment are really cute, but I don't know, I just wish you could get the house sooner.
The house is just so pretty, and the music in the house is so fucking
It has
nice.
so many decoration options too. It has like 20 different options.
Oh, you know what I'm really it just reminds me, what I'm really excited about for the Switch port?
Switch
has a screenshot button.
Oh my god, you're so right.
Oh, because like trying to get like a screen cap of like my house layout is such a nightmare.
Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to show people all the different, like, because you can, like the apartment, you get a little taste of it in the apartment. You can reorganize like individual rooms, and then those rooms can give you bonuses with each party member, which is great. But the house is just so much more in depth, and you can actually have like multiple rooms affecting multiple characters, and you get all those bonuses. And I think that's the only way to unlock Mehmet's strongest attack is actually to get her affection high using stuff in the house. Like, if you set up the house in a certain way, that's pretty much the only way. I'm sure there's like an alternate route. It's
like buy enough teddy bears and Mehmet can kill God.
It's so good. It's like esoteric, but it's never like tedious. I don't get how they did that to where there's a lot of busy work in this game, but it's not bad busy work. You know what I mean?
And like a lot of it's on a timer.
Yeah.
But I think like once you get the cruiser and you can just go from point to point,
yeah,
it becomes it becomes like trivial to keep track of everything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it has a really, I mean, for a PS2 game, I'm pretty shocked at how well made the schedule is. I know it's a weird thing to say. Like, we're talking about this game that has like this deep story and an amazing combat system and blah blah blah. But like, you would think the like letting you keep track of all the shit you've got to do in a day would be really cluttered, but no, it's perfect. You click a button and it shows you exactly on the map where you need to go, and it even gives you like the most ideal route to get there, and yeah, man, it's like it's all these little quality of life things too. It's not just like the big things, not just the emotional stuff, but it's all the little detail things that also make this game so like really special. Feels very lived in.
Yeah, I mean I think that's like what sets us apart from like Persona 4 is that like all the little like life sim stuff in Alien Omen just feels so much more personal, and like it's in depth to a point where like you really feel like you've earned that connection, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You really know all these characters by the end of it, and just it makes the funeral just that much more heartbreaking.
It's not like a stat screen. It's like, you know, just getting to know them as a person, you know?
Yeah. And that's so, again, that is such a vital part of the story. You kind of have to have all of these mechanics in place to make sure you've really bonded with these characters, so that, because the ending, if it weren't for the fact that if you've been playing the game right, you've really bonded with these characters. Otherwise, the ending would feel kind of like a Deus Ex Machina, you know, like power of friendship, kind of cheesiness, but it's so earned.
And I've heard there is an alternate ending if like you really tank it. But I don't have the heart to go through a playthrough to do that, you know?
I've seen it. It's rough. It's, you just feel really bad afterwards. You just, like, I don't know, man. I did it because, you know, I love the suffering. But it was a lot of suffering, and I'm never going to do that to myself ever again. Just the one time. Just the one time to know what it's like.
And that's like 80 hours to get something that like sucks, you know?
To get something that like really like ruins your life and breaks your heart, yeah. You have to intentionally just be like completely, you have to just disregard everything that has to do with like character interaction stuff. Like,
that's the other thing about it, is like this game is balanced so well, like even if it is your first time going through, you're still gonna get a good chunk of the stuff, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna get most of like the endings. There's like a few endings you can only unlock on like New Game Plus. You know, you're not, unless you're like really working really hard and you know what you're doing in a first run, there's a few things you won't see. But that's just incentive to replay it again. You can play this game over and over again and get new experiences every time. It's so big. What the fuck? How is this game so big?
I don't know how they did it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
You know, I think like you said, like the Grand Prix racing minigame. That could be a game in of itself.
I would really like for that to be a game. I would want that to be a game on my phone.
Right?
You know? Yeah.
I don't even want it to be about the cast. I want just
the mechanics.
Just the racing part. Like, just give me some weird like esoteric like racing Grand Prix like championship thing.
And you just, because you go so fast and the colors are all bright and you really feel that sense of speed, and the cars are so it is bizarre how customizable the vehicles are in that sequence.
Oh my god. And the fact that like I don't know, maybe other racing games do this, but like I love the fact that you can just press a button and you'll see two ghosts of your previous car and your car with the new equipment, and like you can see the difference that way, and it's like, oh,
I look so much cooler now.
It's perfect. I can visualize it.
Cool. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I don't understand, because like the racing is completely optional.
It doesn't
It has no bearing on the plot whatsoever.
Like, it's so funny, because, like, literally the only thing that, like, the cutscene isn't even voiced. Charles just runs up to you and hands you the flyer, and, like, that's it. And it's racing, the Grand Prix has been unlocked. It's like, what? And then you don't ever have to go in, in FF7, right? You have to do the chocobo racing thing, and it's kind of like a way to be like, hey, there's some chocobo racing in this game, you know? They don't have that in this game. It's literally just a flyer, and if you're a dum-dum, you can just ignore the flyer. It's like one of those things where, like, if you're playing the game and you don't really know anything, like, you're gonna probably wander that way anyway and just do it.
Yeah, you're gonna just do it by accident.
But if you can just walk past that door.
I have walked, because I've had games where it's like, no, I want to do other things and not have my life eaten by the racing sim again. So, like, I'll do whole games where I don't even touch the racing. It never even comes up. Now, of course, if you do the racing, you unlock more optional dialogue between characters, which is really cool, and it's a good reason to do it. But none of it's required. You get plenty of affection points in other areas of the game.
And, like, like, most of them don't even trigger, like, any affection points. Like, it's just incidental dialogue.
It's just some fun commentary, and none of it is important. You just get to find out that Charles really, really likes hot dogs.
That's the most rewarding part of that segment, is finding that out. Because of the fan art that came from that conversation.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Weird.
It's so weird. Why? I'll never understand. I feel like because, the game was made in Sweden, so there's already, like, one degree of weirdness. And then, the lead writer and the lead designer were Japanese. And so, like, you have these two, like, very, like, the sensibilities going on in this game are very strange, and I love it. I don't know. There's really nothing like it, because it feels very, like, it all feels very naturalistic, but also sometimes like you're in a weird dream.
There's such, like, a culture clash going on sometimes.
But it works, because, I mean, it's supposed to be, like, way into the future, and it's like, you can't expect culture to always be the exact same, right?
Right.
And so, like, I don't know, it all feels, it's weird, but it's never too weird to be unrelatable, you know?
Right, that goes back to just how good the character, like, your squad mates are so well written and so well designed that, like, it doesn't matter, like, what kind of weird trippy thing is going on. Mm-hmm. Like, you're still, like, connecting to these characters. You're
still so invested in, like, everybody's struggles and what they love, and, you know, their victories feel like your victories, and yeah, it's amazing, man. I could just go on. It's so good. It's so good. But we gotta talk about, real quickly, did you ever play the multiplayer?
Okay, so I convinced Dave to play it back in high school.
Oh my god.
And he didn't know anything about this game, and I'm just like,
How?
okay, I kind of, like, try to get him caught up on, like, what's going on and everything, and so we tried the multiplayer, like, once or twice.
It's interesting.
It's weird.
There's a lot going on, right?
I expected it, because usually when you get stuff like that, usually it's like, okay, well, here's one part of the game that's been converted to multiplayer. Like, Zone of the Enders has a multiplayer battle mode, and it's like, games like that will usually just throw in, like, well, here's a quick and dirty fighting game mode.
Right.
And I thought that's what we were gonna get, but then, like, it turns into this whole thing. And it's
it's not like it doesn't have a plot, but it is still like a side story. Like, the stuff you're seeing in the multiplayer is stuff that, like, is referenced in the main game.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part to me.
Bizarre.
Is that, like, because, you always get the thing where, always had that cutscene early on where they mention the Lost City.
Yes.
And it's like, you never go there, but it's like, oh, it's probably just some world building, prophecy and legend and all that,
In the world of Lost City, yeah.
And then you boot up the multiplayer and it's like, oh, it's this is what they're talking about. What?
You are doing the Lost City.
And
they don't even tell you that you have to do the multiplayer. It's just like an option on the main screen.
Yeah, it's like you hid all of this in the multiplayer?
The multiplayer that, like, nobody is... Because, like, there's no online modes.
No, of course not.
And, like, nobody bought this game. So, like, who are you gonna play the multiplayer with?
You know, I mostly I just wanted to see what was beyond that menu. Because, like, you know, you can't start it unless you have both players input the button at the same time.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. Like, it's an impossible button configuration with only 2 hands. Like, you have to have 4 hands.
It's a way to force you. I guess it's because this game is so about, like, interaction.
Yeah,
with, like, your fellow man.
They didn't want anyone, like, cheesing it or, like, kind of, like, exploring this without a friend, you know?
You gotta have friends, man. That's what this game's all about. You gotta have friends. So you gotta have a friend to play the multiplayer. But boy, it's a weird multiplayer. It's weird.
Boy, it drops you, like, right away. You get dropped into that maze, and it's, like, it's in first person, and it's, like, but it's, like, this weird grid first person thing, like playing a VR game, you know, where, like, you don't actually move, you just kind of teleport from, like, location to location.
Yeah, it's weird. And then, like, you know, it is, like, the first person sequences in the game, but, like the main game. But the mechanics are all really different. There's the whole teleporting sequence, like, stuff. There's the magic almost works like a rhythm game. Like, you have to time your button presses to get the strongest version of the spell. So strange.
It feels like the multiplayer was like a dumping ground for the ideas they couldn't cram into the main game, you know?
Which is amazing, because the game is already just packed to the gills with ideas. But somehow, they're like, no, we have more. I don't know how.
Like, I've never gotten beyond the first floor of the multiplayer. And, like, everything beyond that is a mystery, because I could never convince Dave to play it again.
Yeah, I've got to the second floor, and it is also very weird, you know, because it's all in this lost city, and this lost city is just like a strange place that's been infected by, you know, that which sleeps, of course, and, you know, so, like, things are in, like, the second floor, things are constantly in flux, and it is a little, it's disorienting. It'll give you a headache. I'm really wondering if they're gonna tweak any of that for the Switch port.
Well, I mean...
Because... Now it's weird.
Well, I mean, now that they have online...
Yeah. You can actually play it with people easily.
I'm wondering if they'll release it as is, or if they'll, like, completely overhaul it, you know?
I don't know. I don't want them... I guess I want them to overhaul it so I can actually play more of it without, like, getting a nosebleed. But, like... I also want to see what the untouched version of it is. I don't know.
And it's because, I mean, like, it's funny because, like, in that teaser, they deliberately did not show the multiplayer. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did notice that. It's weird. They knew. They're probably still working it out. Dude.
They showed, like, all this stuff from the single player. They showed, like, a bunch of stuff from the jukebox, but nothing on the multiplayer. And I was like,
I guess we'll see. It would be cool. It would be cool, though, to be able to play it with, like, you know how, like, how it has, like, a map shuffle system? Well, I guess you wouldn't know. Okay, so the second area of the multiplayer is, like, always in flux, and you have, like, some degree of control over it with your maps, but you know how, like, Mario Party on the Switch works, where you could put different screens together?
Yeah.
It would be really cool if you could reconfigure your map using different screens with, like, multiple people switch. I don't know.
That would be really cool, actually.
It would be neat. We've got to, next time I see you, when I see you at MomoCon, I'll bring my copy of Alien Omen, and we can try to get past the first floor of the multiplayer, so you can actually get, like, an idea of, like, because it's really weird, and I've never gotten past. I heard there's, like, 20 floors too.
That's the thing, is I have to take their word for it, because, like, I don't know. I literally have no idea, like, what it even looks like beyond floor 1. We got to the sea serpent, And
the sea serpent is hard. Yeah.
And we're just like,
it's a trial by fire. Yeah.
It's like Dave got knocked out like immediately. And it's like, oh, all right, well, all right, I can't get close to revive him.
And then the save point is like really far back. So if you want to like, it's really hard to grind it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like you gotta really trek to get there again. They didn't put like a convenient save point right before the boss.
It's like the multiplayer is like a test for like, do you really love Alien Omen? Prove it.
Are you a bad enough dude to beat the multiplayer of Alien Omen? No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Like my percentage is always gonna sit at 89 because I can't progress.
I know. I've made peace with it, man. I've just, you don't even get, it doesn't even do anything to the main game. Like, I don't even think it changes your ending. It just gives you more like not important backstory, because like the backstory, well, because one, all the characters in the multiplayer are not like characters the way they are, they're just avatars for you to play.
Yeah,
know?
and I mean, like, they kind of like randomize their appearance every time you start it up too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But
so
like,
you're not getting like a lot of plot. All the plot is in like the environment of the Lost City, you know.
And I mean, it's cool.
It is cool, yeah. It's very cool looking.
And like, I know you get a new titles card every time you beat a floor, because I got the first floor one.
Yep.
But like, it's not worth it. It's so weird.
Maybe the Switch version will make it worth it.
I really hope the Switch version actually just is like, we're gonna scrap the entire multiplayer. Here's a brand new multiplayer.
We're gonna fix it. We're gonna keep the environments the same, because the environments are, again, so cool and unique. Just weird nightmare shit. I love it. So we're gonna keep all the environments, but we're gonna make the multiplayer playable,
functional,
also, and good.
Also, the frame rate takes a huge hit when you have split screens like that.
Yeah, it's rough. So I'm thinking the Switch is gonna do this game a lot of good. I'm really excited for the Switch port. Even if they don't change anything else, as long as they just fix the multiplayer. And it's crazy because Alien Omen has a whole section that is just in my opinion, not really playable. But I still think this is one of the best games I've ever played in my life, you know?
I think the weirdest thing is that out of all of the things to make multiplayer, you had so many systems in this game that would have been perfect for co-op, you know?
Yes, my God!
And instead you just do this whole brand new thing. You could have taken the tank segment and made that a whole co-op arena thing, and it would have been perfect.
Somebody steering, somebody on tank, or God, what about the chain, that one bit in the sunken world where you're playing as Harley and Mehmet, and it's the chain link section where they're linked by kind of a glowing that glowing thing,
the tether thingy,
the tether thingy. And it's kind of a call and response kind of game where you're one character is doing something and it has direct influence on what Mehmet can do and vice versa. You could build a whole game around that.
Oh my God.
It'd be so cool.
Easily.
Because there's so many cool, there's so much in this game. Because, you don't see those attacks ever again.
I'm so mad. Because some of those attacks are so cool.
I know.
And it's I want to hack the game to just put tethered Mehmet and Harley in the party.
It's so cool, man.
I want to see them do that grappling twirl attack just constantly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's what is that called? Plasma ribbon.
Yes. That's
so
it.
Cool. So cool.
So good.
The coolest thing. Man, whatever. This game's so cool.
This game's great. Okay.
It's a shame.
I do have a few other nitpicky things that are just
it's fine. We can get the nitpicks out of the way.
I want to get them out just because
when else are we going to talk about this? Yeah.
Right, for sure. Okay, so when you are designing your cyber armor and they take you to that whole menu where you just it's one of the best armor design create a character systems I've ever seen.
Yes.
Except I hate every single visor you can pick.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Not a single, and you can't go without a visor. You literally have to pick one. So you're stuck with like this cool armor and then these really awful visors.
And it's so lame because I'm like, there isn't even one that I think is like okay. Like there's not even like, if they just had like a basic like oval shape one, but they're all these like really weird ones, or like the one that's like 16 dots in a grid.
Yeah. Why?
And I'm like, fortunately that section's all like third person behind the backs, but like every time the camera like pans around to it, I'm just like, oh
yeah, it's not great.
Look at that.
There's the one that is kind of like a butterfly. Like the only one that I can tolerate is the one that's kind of like a weird butterfly shape.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it just doesn't suit. It just doesn't suit the main character.
That one's good, but it's got those weird curls like at the top.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. It doesn't suit the main character at all.
Yeah, it like if you could put that in Mehmet, it would look perfully.
Yeah, she'd be adorable, but
no. But it's like
no, it's like, my man's the hero. What do you call? I feel like I change his name every time.
Okay, I think my favorite is the one I saw was Protag Man.
Protag Man.
Because
Protag Man. Yeah.
Because I've heard people like, because he gets addressed as like the prototype later on.
Oh yeah.
But like Proto Man is taken, obviously.
Yes.
And so I just saw it online as Protag Man once, and I'm just like, oh, that's so good.
That's pretty good. I usually just cheap out and I do like the Dragon Quest thing. I call him Hero. You know, I can never come up with like an appropriate one. I like Dragon Quest, so, you know, it works out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's one of those things where like unlike Persona, like this didn't get into like a manga or anything, so we don't have like at least one default.
Like adaptation name. Yeah. There's no default at all. You just kind of have to. Sometimes I name him like Surge from Chrono Cross because this game makes me think of Chrono Cross in a lot of ways.
Especially with the. Like, you only get 8 full party members, but like you get so many of those like secondary party members.
Yeah, exactly. That's what always makes me think of like the support party members and stuff. You know, they all have not as deep storylines as the main 8, but like they have stories and they have souls and personalities. It makes me think of Chrono Cross, like really hardcore. And
I mean, like I adore that mechanic of just like, hey, these guys are all gonna hang out in your ship and you can go talk to them, or like they're gonna hang out at the house. And
yeah, so cool.
You feel like you're developing like a community, you know.
Plus you can send them out on errands eventually to save you some time, so you can get more done in a day.
Yes.
So nice.
Nice. I think my favorite thing is like sending out trios and just kind of thinking about that party dynamic, like while they're off, like running my errands.
There's a 30% chance they'll all die.
like I love sending Donovan and Erica into the jungle.
Neither of them are remotely suited for the jungle. Like, they're not wearing the right clothes at all, and you just imagine these two doofs just, like, helplessly lost, trying to find some tree pearls for you, and they probably don't know what a fucking tree pearl looks like. Look, but you gotta bring it back, y'all. You gotta.
Yes, Donovan, go out there with your $8,000 suit. And go muck around the jungle for me. Yes, you are the one who needs to do it.
Thank you. Solidarity. You have to work like a common man now, you 1%er. Yeah. Get to work. I love it.
You want to keep that gold watch, you gotta earn it, buddy. Otherwise, we're selling that.
We're selling that shit so I can buy more materials. I got gear to fuse, buddy. That stuff gets expensive in the end game. I'll sell every strap of clothing off your body.
Oh, but how cool is the fusion gear mechanic?
Fusion gear mechanic is really good. It even has like unique weird animations when you get like new strange shit.
Oh my god, it's like speaking of, like, we were talking about the sound earlier, like, the sound design for, like, some of these sound effects and stuff is just like, oh, it's so satisfying. It's so good.
That weird, chunky metal sound and, like, the sparkly effect you get when you make, like, the magic stones. Man, that sound is real good. It's such, like, a nice, pleasant sparkle sound effect. I don't know. I want it as, like, a ringtone.
It's so cool because, like, a lot of these games you get into the problem where it's like, oh, you can't attach, like, you can't attach this material to that gear, like, it doesn't, but then, like, this game is just, like, this game feels like the developers sat around and thought, well, why can't we just attach this to this?
Yeah.
I seriously sometimes feel like the game just, like, throws its hands in the air and it's like, sure, we'll do it.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Do whatever you want. We'll see what happens. And the cool thing is, like, you can mess gear up, but you can get, like, if you don't like it, you can get, like, a partial refund, you know? You can break it down and get some, you can salvage it, which is great. So there's, like, room for experimentation, and you don't feel like you're being too heavily punished. It's great. I love it. Yeah.
So much fun.
Plus, I mean, the game, like, gives you kind of, like, it's kind of, like, all the materials are color-coded, so it can be like, hey, these two colors work really well together. Why don't you give that a shot? You're not going to mix, like, purple and yellow. Yeah. You can. You can.
Weird. And sometimes you get something that sucks, but it's fun. Did you ever get the bubble wand?
Yes! Oh my god, the bubble wand rules. It's totally useless, but it's so much fun.
Funny.
It's so funny.
It's so funny to do, like, aerial raid with the bubble wand.
Because it just rains bubbles down. They pop, and then everybody, like, does a little it's that bobble, like, you know, that's the bobble damage, like, damage animation. And it's so cute and charming. There's so many, like, little cute things in this game. I'm like, I love you. So, yeah. What were your other nitpicks, though? I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Like every so often, like, you get those dungeons that just kind of overstay their welcome a little bit too much. Yeah. The Palace in the Sky.
Yeah.
Is
or like the Star Asylum.
The Star Asylum's weird, like, teleporting thing it's really cool at first.
Yeah, because it like hurls you across the screen, and you're moving really fast, and it just feels really satisfying.
And then you're like, wait, hold on, I completely lost all sense of progression.
I have no idea where I am now. Oh no!
Because the mini map also rotates to reorient itself, and it's like. No. I was using
and it's a huge open area. It's not like a sequence of rooms.
It's so big.
Yeah, it's so big. It's not like every other dungeon in this game is more like little challenge rooms, you know, like you have to overcome like a thing here and then you move to the next thing and you maybe earn a thing in one room to take to another room that helps you solve the puzzle.
It's like a weird, like, kind of like a mini Metroidvania type feel to that.
Yeah. But the Star Asylum is just one giant room with these teleport pads that fling you across the map, and you have no idea where you landed. And it's really big.
You don't even get any, like, loading screens to kind of, like, indicate you're in a new area. Like, it's all one big room.
Good luck. Have fun, idiot. Hope you kept notes from the last time you played this game to get you through it faster.
It's like, get to the center.
That seems easy. No, it's not.
I always get to the point where it's like, it's that where the core, like, you know,
the core unlocking puzzle thing,
where it's that and but you're right on the other side of that wall, and like it seems like everything is pointing you to that corner instead of like the room that's like 2 feet away from you.
Drives you crazy. Yeah, and it's like, you know, I guess because familiarity can also breed contempt, like I said. So it's like, I know how this ends. Like, I know how this is gonna go. Can I not just skip this? But, like, the first time I did it, I was like, this is really, it's kind of fun and challenging. It's something different, you know? But
Well, you get in there and you see the scope of the area and you're like, holy shit.
How did they fit this on a PS2 disc?
And
I don't get it.
And then you're like, wow, it's so big and like crazy and dynamic. And then you're like 25 minutes in and you're like, all right, I get it. I'm done.
I get it. It's big and dynamic. Can we please move on? I want to see what happens. I want to know where Harley is. I'm dying. Did she really betray us? Like, what's going on? No, of course she didn't.
That's the hard part is the first time you're going through that, you're like, you can't even like appreciate it fully because you're coming off the heels of that.
God.
She stole my ship. Get back here. Come back.
Get back here. Bring me back my stuff. I don't have any money.
Oh, that's the worst part.
That's the worst part. You get flung into a new dungeon and you've been like saving all your money and now you're broke again. You just feel like a chump.
So you can't even like bail to go and get new gear. Like you have to go in.
Yep, you got no choice. The worst.
And but I've gotten to this thing where like I've played this game so many times, but since I always get lost in there, I've memorized the wrong pattern. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's
I do.
It's like, oh, I've done this so many times, but I've always done this the wrong way. So it's like,
the only way I can get through it is to do it the wrong way to lead me to the right way.
Right? It's like,
yeah.
I always instinctively go left at the first branch, and it's like, that's not right. That's not right. But it's too late.
And then the door locks behind you.
Yep. Too late. I've hit the pad. I got to move on. All right.
Yep.
Where did I go to next? Was it this one or this one? And
have fun with all those encounters, idiot.
Yep.
It's fine though. The Star Asylum is tedious, but it's fine because the combat is still good and you're doing a lot of fighting, and like the payoff at the end is worth it. You know. Not
only is it like satisfying to get through emotionally.
Yeah.
But the Galactic Destroyer theme is one of the best.
That boss fight though is intense.
That boss fight though.
You're swapping between like party members on the fly. There's nothing else like it in the game. I think that's why like I can't hate on the Star Asylum too much, is because like what's waiting for you at the end is some of the most fun you'll have in a really fun game, you know?
It's almost like they knew. You know?
It's almost like they knew. Yeah, they're like, we made this It's like, you must endure the sour to enjoy the sweet. And the sweet is this dope-ass boss fight where you're literally having your party members shuffled on the fly, and you just have to, like, learn how to deal with what the game gives you, and it's really fun.
You get that really great moment, like, in the second phase, where... Right. It becomes just that battle of attrition because your party gets set on auto heal and the boss gets set on auto heal. And you're just
you're just trying to wail on him harder to like overcome the auto heal. Oh, it's so cool. Because it really forces you to learn how to do big damage. Because if you don't know how to do big damage, you're gonna be there for a really long time.
Like how to reliably just whittle that health bar down.
Yeah. How to set up your combos, how to, get Charles to really be effective. It's kind of like where you learn to make Charles effective, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it pays off, because, like, after that, you're like, oh, I get it now, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
it's great.
Oh, yeah, it's all paid off. It's all...
all paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. It's another one of those games where you learn as you play, man. It's some really genius game design.
It's so good at that, too, man. Yeah. Just like... It's so good at, like, introducing systems and then not belittling you until, like, while you're still trying to learn them.
Right.
It introduces so many, like, this game does so much for, like, setup, like, natural setup, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, when you get the grapple launcher and you're trying to use it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, these enemies are lined up in a way that you can swing around them.
And it just gradually introduces you to more complex, like, variations of it.
Mm-hmm.
And never once does the game give you... I think you get, like, one menu that pops up and is like, here's how you use this thing, and that's it.
Yeah, and then, but, like, everything is, like, set up and placed so well that it's like, even if you're just kind of experimenting, you're gonna see the setup that it's going for, and it's like...
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if I can do this, and then you can do that.
You can do that. Of course you can do that. this is that game that just throws its hands up in the air and says, "Fine, do it. I don't care." You know, it's awesome.
It's like winking at you, like, you want to try it? Yeah, go for it.
Of course you want to try. Of course you want to try it, you idiot. Yeah, man. It's so good.
Oh, it's such like.
Yeah.
This is one of those experiences that like will come once in a lifetime, you know?
Yeah. It's really, there's nothing else like it.
I mean, if you were lucky enough to see it on a shelf and get it, you know, alongside all the other PS2 games that were out at the time, like,
oh god, there were so many.
This weird thing with like the weirdest box art ever.
Oh yeah, because it's like
so.
It's one of those games that got really screwed by being published in North America. Kind of like, you know how Ico has like really famously hideous, like North American cover. Alien Omen kind of got that treatment. Unfortunately, he doesn't look like that.
The princess in the background isn't even in the game. That's not what Elena looks like.
No, she's a redhead. Why is she It's like they tried to trick you into thinking you were buying a Zelda. It's like, this game is set in space.
I mean, I'll let you say that, like, I can kind of see it. Like they're like, this game is a Zelda-like, right? Like,
no.
A little.
I mean, you're going after a princess in the beginning. But that's kind of like, how it starts.
That's like only 4 hours in, and then that plotline is resolved.
And she's like not really even she's a princess. She's like a figurehead.
Yeah,
she's
like
not that important.
Basically her whole arc is like, I told you that story so I could tell you this one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Whatever.
Like she exists to drop the pendant and then she is gone.
She shows up like twice more in the game, and it's both of them are optional scenes.
She's in the council segment, but like shoved in the corner. So she doesn't even get a line of dialogue in that one.
You just see her, and you're like, "Hey, cool, bye." Yeah. You see her at the end of the game. You actually can have a conversation with her, and it's really interesting. I think it's based on like your familiarity with a couple of the assist characters. It's really interesting.
Huh? Oh, because one of them is her brother, right?
Yeah. What's that guy's name? It's like Burla? Beryl. Why am I not remembering? Because he's such a nothing character.
Well, because it's spelled so weird.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just so weird, like, they really wanted to push this as like a game that was like a contemporary Zelda, and so you get that weird, but like, it's not, like, those renders aren't really that great.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The original box art is so much better.
Oh, it's that simplistic kind of minimalist. It's just like, you can see this. It's like the silhouettes of all the party members, and then just like the endless expanse that represents the game world, and you have that cool original logo that is not on the North American cover, and it's so beautiful. It's just like it's a work of art, man. Yeah. I printed off the version from off the internet, you know,
and just swapped it in. Yeah,
I did a swap. I just thought that other one was so hideous. I couldn't do it.
It's just like, it's one of those like laughable like Mega Man box art, you know.
Yeah, but it definitely did not do the sales any favor, and unfortunately, it's what helped this game really super hard flop.
And I mean, like, you're looking at Amazon prices of like $200 to get this game now.
No, the last time I checked, it was more like $5.
God, I mean,
yeah.
And that's like not even for the box. That's like disc only, you know, without
well, you know, the game came with that really hefty manual.
Oh my God. There's God, like, you talk about like missing the feel of like a hefty manual in your game box, like
that thing was like a novel.
That was it had like a flat back, like it wasn't like
it had a flat back and it had like a spine.
Yeah.
It had like story content in it. I think it has like puzzle solutions or something. My God.
It goes so in depth, and it's just like, oh man, if you don't get that, like you're like trying to find like a PDF of it online or something, because like there's so much cool stuff in there.
so much cool art and little detail stuff, and I swear to God, I think there's a hint to like a side quest in there. Like, it doesn't allude to it anywhere in the game, but in like the Sea of Stars, there's like a side quest that is mentioned in the fucking manual. It's incredible.
That's
it's
really
absurd.
That's really weird because the Sea of Stars is like 30 hours in.
I know.
It's not even mentioned until like. It's not even mentioned until the ship breaks down, and then
the game is too deep, man. The game's too deep. It's too much.
I kind of want to play it again. Like,
I know. We have so much. Like, I'm still playing Devil May Cry, but I mean, like, I can make time for Alien Omen.
You can. I mean, like, the only problem right now is that like it's that stun of like, do I wait for the Switch port or do I? Because
yeah.
Once like I'm gonna buy the Switch port, obviously, but it's like,
oh yeah, of course.
It's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to do all that grinding again. I'm gonna have to do the fishing again.
No, I forgot. That's right. I have to start with a fresh save. Oh no, it's almost not worth it.
You take for granted like a new game plus.
Oh God, you're so right.
After the first one. Because you're like, oh, that's so many chores I don't have to do now.
You don't even have to think about them anymore because you've already got all like the good weapons, and
like
the good skills and shit.
There's like some systems that like I'm a fucking pro at because I do them every playthrough. Mm-hmm. But then there's some that I'm like,
never again.
I don't remember how to do that actually.
The fishing is bad.
The fishing is one of those like if it's like the only one where time progresses, and if time didn't progress, it would be so much. Maybe the portal fix that.
Progress with the fishing game? Maybe it's a bug.
Maybe the portal fix that, because like I know a lot of people complain about that, and like if that wasn't in it, fishing would be fine because it's it's still got some solid mechanics in it, but it's just like I can't spend the time to do this because I have other shit to do.
There's so many other things I could be doing right now, but instead I'm wasting all my daylight hours fishing. Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
But it's what Denzel wants, so...
Fine. Why do you want to fish so much, you son of a bitch? Don't you have girls
if I want him to be a good character.
I gotta fish with him. Fine, let's go fucking fish, you idiot. I love you. I love him so much. He sucks so much, but he's so good. He sucks so much.
Character development is so fucking good.
That character art is amazing, man. God, whatever. Alien Omen's incredible.
Alien Omen is like one of the best games I've ever played.
We'll have to talk. We gotta talk about it again.
We will. We'll have to do. You know what? I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it again like throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, and then play the Switch port, and maybe then.
Yeah, and by next year this time, maybe we can talk about it.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, because then we can actually we can compare, like we can make notes and compare and contrast like the PS2 version and the Switch version.
Yeah,
see if they change anything. Actually play the multiplayer.
Yeah, you know what? Depending on how that goes, it might just be the entire episode.
Change the dynamic completely to actually play the multiplayer. Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Are you good?
Oh, I mean, like...
No, but yes.
We do like multiple Persona episodes, but this is just like, I could do 8 episodes on Alien Omen.
But if we talk too much about the characters, we'll be here for like 7 hours. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you just gotta believe us when we say the character writing is just like A+, man, for everybody. It's insane. Go play it. Go.
I mean,
find
like
ROM, look up it on Amazon.
Yeah.
If you've got 500 bones, jeez. Look forward to the Switch version, I guess is what we're saying.
Yeah, like once that Switch port comes out, like buy it like day one and just go nuts because fuck,
it's so worth it.
You will not get a game as good as this one.
It's incredible. All right.
So yeah, that'll do it for now. So thank you to Broke Free for background music. You can follow us. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. And if you want to hear more about a bunch of fun characters doing this, and I'm sorry, Sara, but not quite as good.
Not as good. It's okay. Don't worry. No offense taken. I try every day to be half as charming as Harley, but I just don't have it in me, man. But I try. Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. Right now, we're playing Fate Core Knights of Invasion. So you should come check us out at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there.
All right, that'll do it for us. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Oh, God. There's so many things I could say, because there's so many annoying-ass enemies in this game. But what I'm going to say is fuck those cosmic frogs, man. Okay? I hate those things. They have the worst, most annoying sounds, like, you could ever imagine.
I've had
I can't even.
I've had encounters where there's 5 on the screen at once. Oh my god, it sucks. It sucks so much because that sound is just...
The sound is horrible. Sometimes they can summon those chitter things. Yeah, chitter blossoms. You've seen them. God,
and those
they're
things
so annoying.
Bog down the battle even more. And I think there is something messed up because they can take hits.
There has to be. There has to be something wrong. I don't know what it is because they can just keep summoning them too.
Everything else in that area, in that whole dungeon, that whole planet, I can deal with relatively easy. And they're not being buffed by anything. They don't have resistance to anything.
No,
they just have too much HP, and it's
it's bullshit. It is 100% bullshit. Fuck those things. Fuck their little summon buddies. Fuck the stupid noises they make. I even think their textures are ugly. Everything about them is hideous. I hate those things. Fuck cosmic frogs. You should still play Alien Omen.
Do it. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. We love you.
We love you.
Look it up on Amazon, guys. Good night, guys.